It's update day in DC Dark Legion, and I'm honestly trying to figure out whether the word to describe how I'm feeling right now is sadness or downright exhaustion. Now, let me be clear, there's definitely some good changes that are coming with this update, and we've actually already talked about some of those in previous videos. I made a video on the Bat Family faction tag changes that are going to be coming, several characters that are going to be affected by that, some full kits that are changing, Batgirl, Batman, Red Robin, Robin. We've got some Teen Titans champions that are going to be changing as well. Starfire's a big one of those. And we've also got Donna Troy, who's getting updated, Arsenal, Cyborg. So, quite a few champions. I think Raven is in that bunch as well. Quite a few champions that are changing, and I do think that it's going to adjust the meta a little bit on the lower levels. So, like mid-game players, non-spenders, super light spenders, like under $100 a month. I think there are going to be some champions that you are now going to be able to build up as you're waiting to go for some of those higher end champions, some of those bleed champions that you're building towards. So I'll leave most of that discussion to the videos that I've already put out on those changes. I really want to focus in on the rest of the patch notes for this patch. Now, as of the recording of this video, I'm just going off of what's posted on the Discord. Chad, our community manager, just put this information out on the Discord, but there's a chance that some of the stuff could change between now and the patch. We've had it happen before, but there's just a couple of things that are really frustrating me that I want to talk about. Now, before we get into the actual patch notes, a couple of notes that I want to touch on really quickly. Dark Invasion, so this is the World Boss mode. It turns out to be basically nothing in my mind. It's basically you go into your world map, you can select the boss that you want to fight, and you're just doing coordinated assaults, and you're going to get way less rewards than if you just did a normal coordinated assault, which is just hilarious to me. You can see some of the rewards here. If we scroll up to level 20, which is typically the tier that you're going to have for more developed or like older servers, you can see that you're going to be getting 30,000 stimulators, 30,000 alloy, 30,000 chips, and just a few gems and ACDC shards. And you can only earn these rewards twice a day, and it's actually pretty difficult to get to this level 20 tier. Ranking rewards, you do have the ability to earn some of these fortune boxes for your league, so people will be able to get some additional gems and other things from these rewards. But for the most part, for something that was billed as this big world boss event, I didn't get any rewards for any of the 3 Dark Invasions that I participated in, and I did try to be efficient and try to send some squads and try to get people to help, and it didn't matter. So really frustrated with this mode. I don't even think you can call it a game mode. Definitely seen some people coming up with some really cool strategies for how to kind of gamify it. But it really just comes down to having your 10 to 12 strongest players sit around for a little while and join each other's squads so that you can get all of those Athena's Blessing and the higher end fortune boxes at the top of the reward structure. That's really the only way to do it. So most players are just going to have to sit this one out. The other thing that I want to talk to you about, and this is not in the patch notes either, but it's mother boxes. And this one's another one that really frustrates me. I could probably spend an entire video talking about this, but it's mother box costs have changed. I guess I should clarify that basically if you look at the little mother box in the top right hand corner of your screen, as you use your mother boxes, you're going to get points accumulated there. And the way it used to work was every 500 points that you accumulated by spending your mother boxes, you would get a red mother box cube. The way they have changed it is it seems that now it takes 570 points to get through to that red mother box cube. So what that means is not just with the red mother box cubes, but pretty much like across the board, you're going to be getting less resources than you would previously because it's going to take longer to cycle through those red mother boxes. A shout out to Toki who put together this graphic. He and I both, and I think probably a few other people out there probably noticed this as well, but I really didn't think much about it. I was a couple of, I think it was 2 Supreme Commanders ago, I realized that I was having to spend a lot more mother boxes to get to the normal total that it would take to get to those red mother boxes. I would typically get like 6 or 7, and I only got 5 the last time. Someone tipped me off to this, and then I was talking to a few folks, and this was shared with me. So really frustrating, honestly, that something like this would happen and it wouldn't get communicated to us. So I don't know if there was something that happened in the code that caused this and it wasn't intended. But if it was intended, it's really annoying that we weren't told about it beforehand so that we could prepare accordingly. It's definitely a huge loss. Like you're not getting that one, if you're just going like me for the max for the day and then stopping with your mother boxes for Supreme Commander purposes, then you're going to get like that 6 or 7. Like if you don't get one of those red mother boxes, that could be the difference in getting a 10 pull on a regular mythic or not. So really bad change. I hope that they investigate this and roll it back to the 500 that we were getting previously. Okay, so we talked about a couple of things that are really frustrating me right now about the game. Let's go through the update and talk about some of the standard fare updates that we're going to be getting. And then I do want to have a discussion at some point before the end of the video about the change that they're proposing to make for Battle for Gotham, Ultimate Battle for Gotham, and Great Krypton Rush. I really don't like it. I think there are a lot of other people in the community that are going to absolutely hate it, at least the people who care about these ship combat game modes. So let's go through the update and we'll circle back and talk about that one last. Again, keep in mind that everything is subject to change in this update. I am recording this before the update goes live, and I'm going to be busy all day tomorrow or at the time that this video hits. So apologies if they do roll any of this back. But I want to make sure that I get this information out to you guys as soon as possible. So the first thing that we're going to be getting is some new content, and the hyper time tracker is going to be updating for a lot of servers. I know for the oldest servers, the ones that I'm on, we're going to be getting Wally West, who's going to be a Teen Titans champion. I'm assuming he's also going to be a Flash family champion, even though that tag doesn't really exist right now. Pretty cool champion. He's going to be getting the speed metal suit, so it's going to have a tie-in to the dark metal universe, which I think is really fantastic. I'm super excited to get my hands on the Wally West character and his legacy piece, hopefully, if it's worth getting, and we'll talk about that down the road. Definitely will be a whaler skip coming up on Wally West in the future. We are going to be getting a Valentine's Day event. I'm curious if this one's going to be anything like the one that we had last year. That Valentine's event happened during soft launch, so a lot of global launch players would not have been able to experience it, but it's going to basically be very similar to a lot of the other monthly themed events that we've been getting. I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of a game board or something like that. So, curious to see how this event is going to work, whether the event rewards are going to be worth going after. But we will definitely be covering this event in probably a YouTube short in the next few days as soon as it is active. A couple of things you can see here. There's going to be Aphrodite's Arena. So it is going to be a board game event, and you'll have different things you can trigger. You've got the Magic Mirror, which is where you'll be collecting sweets and greeting cards and flowers and giving them to champions. And then we've got Love's Peak, which you submit single roses on the event screen, and those are going to get you milestone rewards. We've got Share the Love, so you'll earn tokens of affinity, and you're going to get those from your daily tasks. Pretty similar to a lot of the other items like this where you're going to be trading with other players. There's going to be an event frame. There will be magic eyes you can get, world anvil fragments, and a lot of other things. So like I said, pretty much the same thing as some of the other events that we've seen in the past. They do have a web store event for those of you who spend, and it's definitely worth checking that out. because if you go through the web store, you are going to get some discounts and you'll be able to get some more items than you typically would. Like I said, we're going to skip these adjustments to Battle for Gotham and Great Krypton Rush to talk about a couple of other items first, and then we'll circle back. They made some improvements to the Scarab system, so they're going to make it where cord chips can be deconstructed and filtered in batches. So you'll be able to select a bunch of them, very similar to the way you would select your gear, so that you can get rid of them. You're not going to have to go in and individually remove them. That can be pretty annoying if you're trying to do a bunch of, like, get a bunch of new cord chips into your inventory. They're also making it where you can favorite cord chips, and that will allow you to prevent yourself from deconstructing any of them accidentally if you're spamming through them. Looks like they've made a few other changes. So they improved the refresh logic for city patrols and city crisis response. They added the Teen Titans faction tag to Superboy. I think that's a pretty significant change that they're making. So it's not going to change his kit at all, but it is going to make for probably some different teams that you might not have built before that you'll be able to build now, because Superboy's buffs would count towards that Teen Titans tag. We're going to be able to get Mythic Red Hood in the daily deals. I think that one's another positive change, allowing us to get a hold of some of these decent mid-game champions a little bit faster. That's going to be solid. They reduced the damage dealt by Dark Knights and Dark Invasion and lowered the defeat difficulty and displayed enemy power of Dark Knights at certain levels. I think that is potentially a positive. You know, we talked about my disdain for the game mode because I don't really think you can call it a mode. Definitely interested to see how this is going to play out on Friday, a couple of days from now. And I'll report back and give you my honest take if they're able to update the mode and actually make it worth playing. They did update the number of free relocation attempts for all players. They reset it to 5. I'm not sure whether they're going to make it in the future where it costs progressively more and more each time you relocate, but you do get 5 free attempts at this point. If they're going to make more of these world boss type events, they're going to have to make it where you can move around more freely, cheaper, because it's going to be stupid if you have to pay a ton of gems every time one of these events shows up, and the events happen fairly frequently. So a little bit worried about that. I'm glad that they're giving us the 5 free attempts, but if your league is very strategic, it's going to be pretty tough for you to afford that over time if you're a non-spender. And I mentioned this earlier, but I have already made videos on the Teen Titans changes and the Bat Family changes, as well as the change to Martian Manhunter's kit. So I'm not going to talk about those here. Please go look at those videos if you want to get more information on those changes. Also, if you're in my Discord, you can go in. I created a dedicated channel that I'll leave up for a few weeks from now so that you can go in and take a look at the graphics that I actually used for those videos. And you actually can download those if you want to have them for some reason. But that information is also available in the official Discord at these links that Chad provided. So really nice of them to kind of provide this in a succinct place so that you can see those changes. All right, let's talk about the changes to Battle for Gotham, Ultimate Battle for Gotham, and Great Krypton Rush. Again, really frustrating, so trigger warning here, but a couple of things. So one of them I think is actually a positive change that they mentioned was going to be coming, and that's dealing with armory garrison rules. So previously, you could basically just constantly filter new players into the armories, and it could basically make it impossible for if the first mover, the first team to get to the armory would just control it if they had enough people to keep sending reinforcements. They're making it where that garrison is going to be the same as the city hall, where once it goes down to 0, it will, you're not going to be able to reinforce it. Like once you fill up to 20 or whatever it is, it's going to go down, and you won't be able to add reinforcements until the enemy team takes it over, which will happen just based on the way attrition works in these games. So it's definitely going to make it where you can take over these landmarks. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult probably for certain players to get in. You know, the single champion, sending your single ship over to these nodes is probably not going to work as well anymore. You're definitely going to want to rally into very strong ships whenever you're going to the armories now, but I think it is a positive change. So the first issue that I have with these changes is in Ultimate Battle for Gotham and Battle for Gotham, the energy cost of peak performance and recharge skills is going to increase every time you use those. So I think peak performance is about 24,000 energy and recharge is about 12,000 energy. That's going to go up. So it's going to be harder and harder for you to get that the peak performance buff and make your champion stronger more than a couple of times in a match now. And then it's going to be harder to get those recharges, which allow you to skip the timer on your getting your champions back into the fight. And that's key because this is going to be a compounding effect when we talk about the other changes here as well. So you can see adjustments to Guardian Challenge, Great Krypton Rush, Battle for Gotham, and Ultimate Battle for Gotham. So I forgot to include Guardian Challenge as part of this as well. So pretty much any ship combat, this is going to be the case. So squad revival time now increases with each defeat instead of a fixed 5-minute timer. So, you know, the prior version of this, you would send your ship out or join a squad, initiate a coordinated assault, whatever, in one of these game modes. And if you were defeated, we'd go back to your base and you would have to wait for 5 minutes, or you can use your energy to your battery to recharge those ships and get them back out into the fight. So we got a note from the CM here on exactly how this mechanic is going to work. And unless they change it overnight before this video gets published, it is going to start at the 5-minute timer and increase by 1 minute every time you are defeated up to a maximum of 10 minutes. So once that squad has been defeated 5 times, when that last defeat, they're going to go back to the base and it's going to take 10 minutes to recover from there. So you can see, like, compounding over the course of the match, it's going to take progressively longer for you to get those ships back up and running. It's going to cost more for you to get those ships back up and running. And it's going to be, basically, you're just going to have like a ton of downtime where you're just sitting there staring at the screen, because if you are an active player, there could be a situation where you have all 4 of your teams either sitting at the base with a 10-minute timer, or maybe they're in the queue waiting to fight in one of the strongholds. So it's going to create a ton of downtime in the mode, and it, like, honestly is just sapping the fun that I have out of the game. So let's read the rest of this. The goal of the change is to put more focus on battlefield planning and pacing, encouraging more thoughtful timing and target choices, reducing heavy reliance on repeated revives for pure attrition, and giving more value to squad survival and deployment decisions. We'll continue keeping an eye on how this works, yada, yada. So I just don't buy that at all. I don't think that it's allowing you to focus on battlefield planning and pacing. I'm sitting there for 90 minutes. I'm giving this game my attention during a time when I could be having dinner with family and friends or doing any myriad of other things with my life for 90 minutes, where I'm already having to stare at the screen during downtime with the 5-minute timers, and they're going to increase those timers over the course of the battle, giving me even less to do. And they've already taken out all of the different buildings. Like, we just have the city hall and you have 6 armories, and that's it. And there's really just no, there's no strategy to that. I shouldn't say no strategy. There's definitely a little bit of strategy to the game mode. I know a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort into making sure that their league is set up to win, and you can definitely do that. But to me, there's way more fun in variety. And if you have, 5 or 6 different buildings that can do different things, and you constantly have less downtime, you have more uptime in your ships, you can be going out and doing things and actively trying to help your team win. We're already having to deal with, and, I'm not a will, I'm not a non-spender. I'm kind of somewhere in between. probably on the higher end of like non-whale spenders. But at the same time, like I think I still struggle with going up against some of these whales who it's just impenetrable. You can't win. So like it's going to make it way worse for non-spenders, and I feel bad for free-to-play players with updates like this, because you're already having difficulty and you're just going to get sent packing after one fight against these bigger ships, and then you're just kind of sitting there. So you better have something else you can be doing, playing another game on your iPad or watching a TV show, because it's just going to get worse over time. I feel bad complaining this much in a video because typically that is not my way of operating. I try to be as positive as possible and be like, a good pillar of the community here, and try to like extend an olive branch to Fun Plus, to the developers. I know that they work really hard on these game decisions and all the things that they put into these updates, and it just really frustrates me that quite frankly, they're not listening to anything we're saying, and this stuff isn't getting tested in the community. That our feedback is really just not being taken into consideration here. I really hope that they will start listening to some of the things that we're saying that are frustrating. At this point, I realize that I'm not going to get my way with any PvE game modes, or if I do, it's going to be few and far between, and that's fine. Like, I'm learning to love the game in a different way, and that means learning how to enjoy these ship combat game modes. But if they keep taking things away and making it harder to send my rallies and things like that, like, it just makes it difficult for me to justify sitting around on the weekends and putting 90 minutes into Ultimate Gotham or Gotham on Saturday, putting another 30 or 40 minutes into Krypton Rush on Sunday, and then at multiple points during the week having to either defend or attack cities in Guardian Challenge. It just doesn't make any sense for me to be spending my time on those things if they're going to continue to take the strategy out of the game modes and make it more difficult for me to actually play them. So I'm curious to see what the response is going to be from the dev team on this update, or the feedback that we're going to be giving. And, assuming that changes aren't made until we get to the first Gotham post update and the first Krypton Rush post update, I'll definitely be trying to attend those game modes this weekend if I can, or at least get some footage from someone else. And we'll talk about kind of what the impact was. Otherwise, definitely curious to hear your thoughts on this update. Are you happy about it? Are you sad about it? Like, give me a justification if you think that the changes are good. Definitely curious to hear opinions about all the champions that are getting changed. I'll be doing some combat cycle testing because that's the one game mode that I truly do enjoy in the game. Make sure that you hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe to the channel if you like to see this content. You'll get notifications whenever I do publish new videos for DC Dark Legion, and I do try to put out 3 to 4 videos a week when I can. So I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.